My first survival tip is just don't go camping. Nobody needs to go camping. Camping is for losers.
Yeah.
Like, who likes camping?
Well,
Don't say, yeah, you know you like camping. You know you do.
I love
Don't agree with
camping.
me randomly.
Hi, I'm Caitlin,
And I'm Charlie.
and welcome to Outsmarting the Shadows, where we help you survive horror movies.
That we do.
And this is Milo.
Well, it's over there this time.
Yeah, so we watched probably, I keep saying this, but this is one of my all-time favorite horror movies ever because it has such an amazing twist in it.
Yeah, it's an interesting movie. I remember watching it. I didn't watch it in the theaters just because I remember looking at the trailer and I said, oh, this movie's kind of trash. It looked really not good in the trailers.
Yeah, the trailers made it out to be just sort of a regular horror movie that nobody would really want to see.
Yeah.
And like, so in 2011, I think I saw it because people were like, no, you have to see it. You have to see it. It's so good. And I was like, all right, maybe.
Yeah, I think I finally watched it on, I don't know, on video or something like that.
Yeah.
Rented it on Redbox when that was a thing before Netflix.
Exactly. So this movie didn't really gain cult classic status for a long time because it took a lot of people a while to watch it.
Yeah. Just because it was a bad trailer.
Yeah. And that movie is Cabin in the Woods from 2011.
Cabin in the Woods.
Yeah.
Not watching it a second time, you're kind of like, okay, now you understand kind of what's happening. This movie, if you do a second viewing, you see it in a different light the second time around.
Yeah, you really do. And there's a lot of really great characterization and storytelling the second time around that you kind of don't see the first time around because you're just expecting a regular horror movie.
Yeah.
And one of the great things about this movie from a survival perspective is that they sort of surpass all of the tropes of horror films.
Yeah.
So it's really easy.
And are there any survival tips? I think they did everything pretty good up to a certain point.
They did. So, all right. So we're going to go into spoiler warnings for this movie.
Yes. If you haven't watched it, I mean, you should have. It's an old movie by now. If you're like horror, it's 2011. So we're gonna go into spoilers. So spoilers.
2011. So you should have seen this movie, Cabin in the Woods. And if you haven't seen this movie, you should see it because there's a twist in this horror movie that you can't possibly see coming if you don't know what you're watching. Yeah. Like, there's no way to see that this is what's actually happening.
Yeah.
Yeah. So. The movie centers around a character named Dana, who's going off to a cabin with Kurt, Jules, Holden, and I forgot the other main guy's name. Kurt, Jules, Holden, and Marty. And they all have sort of classic, from the very beginning, stereotypical, oh, we're going to go to a cabin in the woods and this is who we are. Like, Jules is kind of like this promiscuous girlfriend, and Kurt's like the jock. Holden's this smart nerdy guy. Dana's the smart nerdy girl, and then Marty is the stoner.
Yeah, no, they just smokes a lot of weed.
Yeah, and they're going off together in this camper to go up to a cabin, which sounds like a really fun weekend.
Yeah, well, I mean, not in a dingy cabin in the middle of the woods.
No, I guess not. It could.
Not for me. That's a white lady thing again. That's a white lady thing.
That probably is. So this movie was actually written by Joss Whedon.
Really?
Yeah.
Oh, interesting.
He said it was a love story that he wrote, a love letter that he wrote to horror movies to try and reinvigorate the genre.
Joss Whedon, that name.
Okay, so Joss Whedon, I think he's been semi-canceled because he was verbally abusive to cast members.
Yeah, I remember a little bit of that. Yeah, fuck that guy.
Yeah.
That's what I say. Fuck that guy.
Yeah. So, but this movie was a really...
a good movie nonetheless.
It was a good movie. It was a good
Fuck
movie.
the guy, but good movie.
Good movie. So, but this movie, I loved that right from the get-go, you kind of realize they do hints of who the characters really are versus who they're playing in the movie. So, like Kurt, played by Chris Hemsworth, right in the beginning, he tells Donna, "Oh, don't bring those books. Bring these other socioeconomic books because they both studied the same thing."
Right? You're
And
like, what?
and you're like, "Wow, he's really knowledgeable. This is how you
knows about
impress
this stuff.
Holden. He really knows about it." And then throughout the course of them getting to the cabin and being there, he suddenly kind of turns into this weird jock idiot.
Yeah, yeah.
And you're like, "Okay, I
like
guess."
a football type of guy.
Yeah.
Like American football.
Yeah. And then and everybody else does kind of the same thing, except for Marty, who is smoking a lot
Copious
of weed.
amounts of the devil's lettuce.
Of his own weed.
Yes.
I like that Milo keeps trying to come over to you.
Yeah, no, leave him over there. He is gross.
He's really, really stinky, and we know we've talked about this before, but
still haven't watched him.
No, that's not true. We've watched him once since then.
I don't know.
No, we did, but he went outside and he basically just rolled around in the dirt.
In the dirt, yeah.
Yeah. And then it's like, well, dang it, we're in the middle of doing all kinds of stuff, so we can't watch him every day.
Just go away.
Yeah. So anyway, this movie, I love their little Winnebago that they go up in.
Yeah, yeah.
It seemed like it would be kind of fun to just go to a regular campsite in the Winnebago, but maybe they don't have enough beds for everybody.
Yeah, I don't know. I've never done that. I've never gone camping. At least not that I can remember. Maybe when I was a kid, when I was dragged by my parents because I had no say in my life.
Maybe they've dragged you to campsites.
Yeah, maybe. I don't remember.
And you blocked it out.
Yeah, and I blocked it out because, camping is for losers.
Okay, so they go through this tunnel. They go through this tunnel bridge, and in order to get to the cabin.
Yeah, and interesting that right here, first of all, since when it starts, you see kind of like people in government building or something.
It's like a company.
Yeah, like they're following stuff. But you don't exactly know what's happening.
It's really, that's a funny interaction because it's just a typical office workers.
Yeah, and they're just, just talking mundane stuff.
Yeah, and when they're talking these mundane stuff, you can see it's a huge facility. They are just talking about like, the Japanese site is going on, but Stockholm fell, and you're like, what are they talking about? Right. They don't really allude to anything.
Yeah, and it's up to the Japanese or us.
Or us.
And you're like, I don't know, what are you talking about?
Yeah.
The first time around, you really don't understand what they're talking about, but then the second time around, they're like, oh, now it all makes sense.
Yeah, the second time around, it really clicks that. Okay, so they are running. They're not experiments. They are rituals. They're running giant rituals in order to get certain sacrifices to the gods.
Yeah.
But I want to talk about this for a second because when we see footage of all the different sites.
Well, we only see of the Japanese site. We don't see any other footage.
We see some footage of like Stockholm. I think they have a Russian site, and they're like on fire.
Yeah,
like, something really bad's gone down with those particular
or
sites.
Right, with the people that wanted to survived.
Yeah, and in Japan later, it's like they're sacrificing children.
Right, they have to kill 9-year-olds.
Right, and I'm like, but I don't understand why it's 9-year-olds in Japan.
I guess it has to do with their culture and whatever their beliefs through the eons have been on sacrificial things, sacrificing.
Do you think that any sacrifice will do around the world?
Oh,
but they're different.
There are rules because they have to follow the rules or these, old gods.
What I mean is, so it was either at some point up to Japan or the U.S. site.
Yeah.
So either the U.S. site had to do their sacrifices or Japan had to do their sacrifices.
That's how I understood it.
But maybe based on their culture, they're different kinds of sacrifices.
Yeah, maybe.
But the gods don't care.
I would like to see South America.
Yeah. What is a chupacabra?
Like Guatemala.
Yeah.
Or Colombia, stuff like that.
Yeah, that would be really cool. That would be. And I want to see the vaults that are in Japan.
Yeah, Japanese vault.
Like in the U.S.
This movie was a pretty cool concept to make more.
Yeah.
But they just did it. Did it make enough money?
I think it did. I'm going to look it up.
I'm pretty sure it didn't with that horrible, horrible trailer that showed nothing.
Right?
In the trailer, I remember watching the trailer and saying, this is just it looks like a really crappy slasher movie.
Yeah. So the budget was 30 million,
Okay.
and they made 66.5 million.
Okay.
So they made more than they put into it, but probably not enough to make a sequel.
Yeah, probably like, this movie failed. It
Yeah.
made money. Nah, it failed. It didn't make all the money, which is what all these studios want. They don't want some of the money. They want all the money.
But what I love about this movie is how it did later become such a classic. You know, it was like The Long Game. Everybody loved this movie.
Really? Huh.
Anybody who knows.
Right.
Like, if you know that you would like interesting horror, then you'll watch this movie.
Yeah.
Like,
I think we can get into some survival tips.
Yes.
My first survival tip is just don't go camping. Nobody needs to go camping. Camping is for losers.
Yeah.
Like, who likes camping?
Well,
Don't say, yeah, you know you like camping. You know you do.
I love
Don't
camping.
agree with me randomly.
Well, it's not that I'm agreeing with you randomly. It's that statistically, there are a lot of accidents, injuries, and deaths while camping.
I mean, you go camp. Listen, if you're sleeping in your house, right, in your bed, if you have a fan or you have AC or wherever it is, the likelihood of a bear mauling you to death,
lower.
I mean, it's not zero, but it's pretty damn close to zero. Whereas if you go to the woods and you go camping, right, the likelihood of being mauled by a bear shoots up exponentially wherever you live. In Alaska, you're dead.
Why did you use camping?
Yeah, because
air quotes.
Yeah, because
it's really camping.
It's camping, It's
camping.
Like you're gonna sleep outside in the woods with skeeters. No, nobody wants to do that.
I would say that a house is more secure than a tent.
Nah.
No, it is.
Yes,
it is.
yes. Just stay in a house.
Yeah.
Don't go camping. If it's a cabin, why does it have to be in the woods? Go to a cabin in suburbia. Go to a cabin in the downtown of whatever city you live in.
I don't think there's many cabins in suburbia, like
really?
nice cabins that like.
I think we're onto
away.
something. Get away from your life in this nice cabin in the middle of this HOA infested suburbia.
Can you imagine? It would actually be kind of cool to have. Let's say you have like 100 acres of land, and you just set up cabins,
right?
But around the 100 acres is a giant suburbia,
right? And a little cabin village,
right? But they're a little further away from each other,
like the villages.
I mean, I think that's where we live.
That's where we live. You think?
Well, we kind of live where you're required to have a little bit more land. It's like livestock and stuff, but we live in the heart of the city.
Yeah, and you know what's not gonna kill us while we sleep? A bear.
Okay, whoa. There was an incident once.
Well, that bear wasn't good. First of all, that bear would have to walk through goats, a lot of them, right?
Yeah.
And then through dogs, through geese, through an emu, and then knock on the door or go through a window, and then with us not waking up, right? And then let me maul these people to death. If we were outside
it was a young bear.
Yeah, and if we were outside in the middle of the woods, you know what he would do? He would just go up to you and just eat your face off. Just don't do it.
It is a different process.
So this movie would have been completely avoided if they to the movies. If they just say, okay,
as a group.
As a group, let's just go, let's just watch the latest, the latest Marvel incarnation of a movie. I mean, it wasn't a time back in 2011.
Oh, I know,
right?
But no, it was. There was some Marvel movies back in 2011.
Yeah, they didn't. Yeah, they started 2008 with
Iron
Man.
Yeah. So, personally, I think going with a group of friends to a cabin is a wonderful idea.
It is not. Don't kid yourself. Don't go to a cabin. If you know somebody that has a cabin, don't go.
But here's the thing: you have to take some safety precautions that these kids did not take.
Yes. Going down when you're driving, go to the lights. To the city. Go to a cabin.
Right. Well,
what safety precautions are you talking about?
Let's say that you're...
Okay, let's say that against my better judgment and against my will, I've been dragged onto whatever van that they had.
A Winnebago,
and I'm going camping. If I am ever camping, it's been against my will.
Okay, I'm just gonna, before I jump into these survival tips, I'm gonna clarify something for you, sweetie. going to a cabin
Uh-huh.
is not camping.
Yes, it is.
No, it isn't.
It is out in the
Listen.
middle of nowhere. There is no. First of all, there's probably no internet, right?
No, they
if
said that
if
was the point for them.
And if there's internet, it's gonna be like satellite internet, which is trash. Might as well not have internet. Okay, okay. Then you're out in the woods.
Okay, my love,
Uh-huh.
listen. I'm just gonna clarify that you're still like. Let's pretend like you're being dragged to a cabin. All right,
Which is camping.
it's not camping. It's still
If you
there's
think
walls.
going to a cabin
there-
is camping, just leave a comment.
Leave a
Because I
comment.
say it's camping. It's the same
It's not
thing.
camping. I know that, like, you know, you're just a city boy.
I am not a city boy. That is derogatory, and I take offense. Okay. I am a person that likes the amenities of modern technology.
Okay.
That's just it. A nice AC. I want to watch something. I go to the internets, right? I use the internets. I wanna go. At 2 a.m. I'm hungry. I want to go to Waffle House. So you're telling me if I go to this cabin and it's like 4 a.m. and I'm hungry and I want a delicious waffle, right?
Mm-hmm.
Or a Texas bacon cheesesteak melt, right? I'm just gonna hop on my Winnebago and just drive down the street for 15 minutes and I'm at a Waffle House.
Well, some cabins are like that.
Uh-huh.
Some cabins are not.
Don't be fooled. She's trying to grift you into going camping, calling it a cabin.
All right. So you've gone to the cabin.
Yes, against my will, I have gone camping to this cabin.
You've gone. Let's call it cabining.
Okay, cabining.
You've gone cabining.
Okay.
So when you go cabining to a location that you've never been,
Yes.
first, Kurt's cousin should have given him a lot more information.
Right. Right.
And if he didn't,
what was his name? They never said.
Right,
It
well,
was just Kurt's
and
cousin.
at the end, they go, I don't even think Kurt has a cousin.
Yeah, but then how was he duped into going then?
Well, remember, they were like drugging everybody and stuff. So I wonder if
I think it was cheating. Because they all through the movie, they say, no, they're giving a choice. They weren't really giving a choice. You're cheating them out of doing everything.
You know what I thought was really... So I loved and I hated this part. So I actually loved that they said the chem department. Right from the beginning, they set up the chemistry department. That they were really advanced. But at one point, everybody... They realize Jules has been murdered. They realize, oh my God, something's happening. And they say, well, no matter what, we can't separate. We have to stick together. And then... I think his name is Sidstron. One of the guys who runs the place goes, we need to contact the chem department and tell them to pump out something into the, and then it's into the cabin. And then Kurt walks past this mist.
This little mist,
He's
like,
pumped,
no,
and he
this
goes,
is wrong.
Let's separate. And I'm like, I've never been chemically heard of a chemical that can put a specific thought in my head.
Yeah, but that's not... In this movie, you shouldn't suspend disbelief because of the chemicals.
That's true. This movie, you have to just go with it.
I would have been, okay, so these monsters exist. How did they catch him in the first place?
How did they start the slumber?
Right? Not how did it start. How did they find zombies and keep him in the cage? How did they find the discount Pinhead from Hellraiser?
Right? Yeah.
How did they find
Sawface?
Yeah, Sawface.
That's what I call him.
Sawhead. A werewolf, right? There was vampires, there were ghosts, there were serial killers.
And how do they put them back?
What do they eat?
Right? And
because they don't come out.
They said it was the barn. So that implies that they're taking care of them.
Right, but they don't all come out every year because they choose.
Sometimes, and there's so many of them, they only come out like once every 50 years, maybe.
Maybe not. What if they're maybe every year? For example, this year they chose the undead, the
undead
farming family,
zombie
rednecks, right?
I'll look up the name while you're talking.
Would next year they just take them out of circulation to give a go to other people?
Oh, that would be an interesting
twist. Or are all those monsters interconnected throughout the whole world, and they're the same.
There's only
from
one
Japan.
set of monsters.
Yeah, but then it would be too
I
big.
disagree.
It would be too big. Logistically, how can you connect? Japan, the United States, and Germany, France,
With
and then
underground-
underground tunnels.
See,
That makes no
I don't
sense.
think that works because all of the monsters that I saw
Mm,
were American style
yeah,
like horror
horror creatures.
creatures.
Yeah.
So I have a theory about this.
Okay.
And I didn't learn this from the movie.
Okay.
It's just because I've watched this movie probably 10 times.
Mm-hmm.
I've seen this movie a lot.
Mm-hmm.
I believe that in the beginning, the monster, like the Titans, which are probably the crazy,
the old gods.
the old gods ruled the world.
Okay.
And then humanity were just feeble pawns that they
Yeah.
were eating.
Yeah.
Or whatever.
Like maggots.
Like maggots.
Yeah.
And then when humans started to become more prominent, they realized that the gods said, we will be satisfied. We'll give you the earth if you give us certain things.
Right.
Maybe there was some level of communication. But what I think started to happen is I think that ever since human society has been a thing, humans have invented monsters. And I wonder if every time a human invents a monster in their head and it becomes a thing where suddenly somebody else talks about it and then there's another rumor, I think something magical might happen where it almost manifests.
Yeah.
You know?
And another thing, this is so big. This could never be hidden from the population.
You think
Too many people know about it.
But over thousands and thousands of years, this is just where it turned into.
Yeah, but I don't think these Illuminati people or governments, because we don't know if it's the government, we don't know what they are,
or a secret
these
society,
because they're you look at them and they're talking like just every day they're betting. These people wouldn't stay quiet. They would blast it out to random people. So humanity would know that this is happening, and there's no way to keep this quiet for so long.
So I disagree. I think that the chem department probably has a say in that. Probably all of these people have something that happens to them at the end of every year where they forget what this is, and then at the beginning of the stage of every stage.
But then what do they work on during the year?
They know that they're maintaining some sort of government facility, but they don't know about the monsters.
That would be interesting.
Because remember, in large, like multi-matrix companies, multi-billion-dollar companies, there are so many departments. You don't even you know what they do, sort of, because if somebody told you, but like your job is designed around what you do.
Yeah, and every time you go to work, you see people that you've never seen.
Yeah.
Even if you've worked there for years.
Exactly. And if, let's say, throughout the rest of the year, what if some of those people work from home? Or what if some of those people, like, they go and they just maintain, I'm an electrician. I'm part of a demo team. I'm maintaining a movie set. Like, it could be whatever.
Yeah.
There's so many ways to hide that. And then the people who know, they know. Maybe it's just those 50 people.
Yeah. I wonder how many murder cults exist right now. And they just keep it quiet.
Let's say at least 30.
At least 30.
At least 30.
And you know how you avoid them? Don't go camping. Or what is it you call it?
Cabining.
Which is camping. Yeah.
Okay, so survival tips for cabining.
Yeah, we drifted from the survival tips.
Okay, so first of all, make sure that you have a steady supply of food and water that you bring with you for at least 2 weeks.
Because there ain't gonna be no Waffle House.
Right, there's no Waffle House.
No.
That's actually sometimes the fun of cabining. You get to bring all your own stuff.
Is it fun?
Yes, it's fun.
But is it really?
Just pretend like it's fun.
Okay. Yay, I'm having fun.
Yes, you are. The second thing is,
Uh-huh.
if you need to be prepared that cabins don't sometimes have good locks. That was a terrible way to say that because that sounded really janky.
So cabins don't have good locks.
Sometimes cabins don't have great security, physical security on windows and doors. And that is something
no metal bars on the windows.
Right. So that is something that for me personally, if I'm going to go to a cabin, I ask about.
Yeah. So if you're in the business of building cabins, build them with metal bars.
Don't build them with metal bars.
On the windows, yes, secure. You can't go out. You can't go in.
Maybe this is extreme, but I like the ability to have metal bar shutters that you can close from the inside.
Well, yeah, but that requires electricity.
No,
Nobody wants electricity.
It's not electricity. That's just a physical. You close it and you lock it.
Yeah, but then somebody can open it.
from the inside.
No, but a metal bar welded into the, to the structure.
But
Nobody can take
it's
off
ugly.
or put. Listen, you're out in the woods. There's a cabin. Nobody cares about if it's ugly or not.
Remember we were talking yesterday about that guy who was in Alaska and he was just sitting in his house reading his book and a polar bear jumped through his plate glass window and killed him.
Yeah.
And ate him.
Yeah, a bear.
A bear.
Yeah.
And if he'd had bars,
he was probably cabining.
He was living there.
He was just fancy.
He just lived in a cabin.
I don't know. I mean, if you're in if you're in white bear country where there are white bears will hunt you down and they will eat you.
They're also called polar bears.
Yes, the bears that are white, not
some
the black and white ones what are goofy, the ones.
Yeah, because some polar bears are brown.
Yeah, but not the no. I'm not talking about those. I'm talking about the China ones.
You're talking about pandas.
Yeah, the pandas.
Pandas will kill you too.
Pandas can kill you, but they won't actively look at a human and say, I'm going to kill that human.
That sounds delicious.
Right? Before they get to you, they're going to fall down. They're going to roll down some steps.
Right, they're going to look drunk.
They're going to look drunk. Then they're going to, what is that over there?
They get distracted.
They get distracted. The only way a panda will kill you if you go up to it and hug it, and he's like, you're already in my midst. Let me just break your legs.
Right? Let me just eat you slowly.
Right, not a polar bear. A polar bear will look at you and say, that is food. I'm going to hunt it. I'm going to hunt it, and then I'm going to eat it.
We're like 30 minutes in. We provided no survival tips at all.
I think
Listen, I
provided the best survival tip that they could ever have is just don't do it.
Yes.
Don't go camping. Don't go...
don't go cabining.
Don't go cabining. Just don't do it,
Okay, but... Here's the thing, sweetie. We are not a podcast of cop-outers, okay? We're not copping out of the problems.
I'm not. I mean, I have been dragged against my will to this cabin, so I'm not copping out. I am here.
Okay, you're here.
In the cabin. I am looking, so there are no metal bars. We're just saying, if you're into building cabins, build them with metal bars. Secure
the facility.
Yeah.
All right. So first, I would lock everything that I could before I started to unpack. So lock all the windows, lock all the doors. If there's a back door, make sure that you know all the exits.
Okay.
And then you put all of your
unhang paintings to see if they're see-through windows.
Well, I always check the mirrors to see if they're two-way mirrors.
Yeah.
I also do bug checks for me. So if I don't live in a place, I check for bugs.
So here's how you check if there's two-way mirrors. So when you get to this cabin, you have to have a sharp or a big object. Like it could be a hammer. Hopefully you brought a hammer, or you can go outside and you take a rock and then you throw it really hard against that window.
No, don't do.
If the window breaks, then you can take the pieces and look at it from the other side. If you can't see through it, then it wasn't a see-through window.
Okay, well, don't do that.
That is how you check. That's how I would check.
Okay, how you check actually is you take a marker that is easily removed from the window and cleaned, and you mark it on the glass, and you can tell if there's no separation, then it is a double-way two-way mirror.
Sounds fake.
It's not fake. It's real.
Break it and look at it from the back.
Anyway, we're gonna go through survival tips.
When the people break it, there's a whole room?
Well, then it's probably two-way. It's probably see-through.
Yeah, and then it gets freaky.
Well, then you get to investigate.
No, there's no investigation. You get the hell out of there. Yeah, you're with your investigation. Nobody wants to investigate. You just get the hell out of it. Anyway, the tips. Okay.
So now that you've secured all the mirrors, you've made sure that there's no bugs. You've made sure that everything is locked.
Yes.
Right. The other thing that you need to make sure of is that everybody knows the 7-minute rule.
Yes.
Everybody that you're with knows the 7-minute rule, knows that if something creepy happens, you go out to the Winnebago, you call everybody else's cell phones, and you tell them, listen, we have 7 minutes, we're leaving, something creepy has happened. Because the creepy thing here that happened is just the two-way mirror.
Yeah.
In my opinion, the two-way mirror is too creepy. Yeah.
What was the two-way mirror there?
Yeah. What was the purpose of that?
Of the two-way mirror.
I suspect that this this ritual has evolved over many eons.
Well, I think that the two-way mirror was for a different monster that they didn't choose.
Oh, interesting.
Yeah.
That might be the case.
Like somebody came, like, oh, I need help. I need, I need to stay with you guys or something like that. And then he would stay
Yeah.
in that room, and then he would use the two-way mirror to,
Oh, yeah, to
you know,
spy.
yeah, and
I like
masturbate.
it. Oh, okay. That's a
Yeah.
weird ghost
Yeah,
creature.
right.
Like, what's the end goal of the? Is he gonna murder everybody?
Yeah, I'm gonna masturbate.
Okay.
Looking at you, all voyeuristic.
All right.
Yeah, that's the type of monster you don't want.
We might bleep that out a little.
No, we won't.
Okay. So, so anyway, so then of course when these people when the cellar door opens, they really just go down there and go to town on
like
everything.
when it opens, it pops open. That was an opening from, an air compressor, a little compressed.
Couldn't it have been magnetic?
And I don't think so. It was too fast.
The only thing that I could think is that it was magnetic simply because there were no mechanisms that I could see on the door that popped open. So I'm like, if it's magnetic, then suddenly if they reverse the polarity, it might have had enough force.
Yeah, but didn't it make like a psst?
Oh, yeah, it did.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Like
I just usually
18-wheelers
brakes.
Brakes.
Well, usually if something like that pops open, there's going to be mechanisms that you'll probably be able to see.
Right. And it wouldn't be the wind.
How would the wind go into a cellar that has no openings?
Right. Yeah.
And push. Kurt is an idiot.
Yeah. So if this would have happened, just don't go into a cellar. Because if they didn't go into a cellar, they wouldn't have chosen.
Yeah.
Unless there's other ways to choose on the.
I don't think there are. Oh, we haven't talked about the Harbinger.
Who's the Harbinger?
The Harbinger was the guy at the gas station.
Yeah.
Remember, I love that phone call. That was really funny. Where they were like,
yep. What was his deal?
So he had his job was Harbinger, where he was supposed to warn them and give them basically a choice.
He didn't warn nothing.
I know, he was very vague.
Right? He didn't warn nothing. He just said, "You whore."
Yeah. Well, he also said a lot of people are coming and going.
That's not a warning. I mean, it is to me. I wouldn't have gone either way. But still.
Well, I mean, it just tells you something wrong with that cabin.
Yeah, because it's rented out. If cabins are rented out, a lot of people will be coming and going.
But it's not rented out. Remember, he said a lot of people purchased, a lot of people.
Yeah, but
it changes hands a lot.
Yeah, but it was his cousin. Was it his cousin, his uncle, his family member that is never named? So you don't know if he just rents it out. He has an Airbnb, stuff like that.
Well, he said that he just purchased it.
I don't know, semantics.
So I think that was a good warning in a package that was too creepy to stick around in.
A warning would be, hey, I've heard many things of that cabin. I think people disappear up there. I would not go there if I were you guys. That is a warning.
Yes, but remember, he doesn't want them to heed the warning, so he's being creepy about it and vague.
Okay.
So the Harbinger, that was his job. He was really into it. He believed in all that stuff.
Yeah, and he's probably survived.
Why would he survive?
Was he down with the workers when all the? Oh yeah, at the end everybody dies.
Yeah, the whole world dies.
The whole world dies. Huh. No, but I mean the main attack of all the monsters.
You're like, he probably lived.
Yeah, he probably lived. You live out in the woods, which you shouldn't.
So, I don't think that. I don't think that you should explore in the cellar. I think that probably was a poor idea. But I have to admit, if you and I had found a creepy cellar with a bunch of old stuff in it, we would have looked around.
You're just saying I don't think you should do it. Why would you do it? You're not following your own rules.
Yeah, but you and I would not follow a lot of these rules.
I would not go down. I would listen. You dragged me here against my will. Right? So I will not be going into a cellar. Right?
Okay, so you wouldn't go into the cellar at all.
At this point, I am a hostage.
Okay.
At this point, I am a hostage in a cabin in the woods. I'm not going into no cellar.
Okay, well, now, granted, that cellar is one of the creepiest cellars that we've ever seen in a movie. Like, it doesn't have inviting stairs at all. Stuff. It had great stuff in it.
Yeah.
Like that stuff, you were like, oh, that's
It had
like,
a lot of knickknacks.
right.
And stuff.
We
and
love
like
knickknacks. We
Yeah.
love old timey wimey
That's
knickknacks.
why the best thing is just not go down that way. You're not,
You're not tempted
You're
at
not
all.
enticed to
Yeah.
pick up knickknacks.
You would never even see them.
Right, and
like
if
the
you don't
first
see
thing you'd
them,
be like,
you
oh,
can't pick them up.
we gotta close that and we gotta put a chair on it.
Right? Yeah, yeah. Or the couch. Just move the couch, but okay, we're good.
Well, it's in the middle of the kitchen. But why not?
Yeah, you can have a couch in the middle of the kitchen.
Yeah, why not? So they went down into the cellar, and I love that they picked the Buckners because it's just sort of classic horror, you know, redneck zombie family.
Yeah, that can't be killed.
They can't be killed, yeah. But I would have preferred if they tried something a little bit more.
The merman.
The merman would be so funny. How does it get to all the victims? Like if they just lock themselves in the house, that solves it.
Right? I don't know. I would have preferred the knockoff Pinhead from the knockoff, you know, Lament Cube. I guess in this universe is the Lament Seer.
I like that. That was a really cool one.
Yeah, I would have wanted to see that one.
I really wish that they had all picked all the things they were holding.
Right, all at the same time.
That would be
game
cool.
over. They're all dead.
It would be interesting if they'd picked all of them or multiple of them, and then you know the pool that they had on the company. If they were like, all right, so we've got the merman and we've got the thing, we've got all these things, you know.
And the creatures didn't attack each other.
Yeah.
So that they have kind of like a truce.
I don't know.
Did they know? Listen, we're mythical creatures, so we don't attack each other.
Well, technically,
because it would have been cool if the werewolf started beating up on that giant snake.
Yeah.
Right, and then or breaking that robot that had a chainsaw.
I love that robot. I like that the base of that robot was kind of like WALL-E.
Right. It was yellowish.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So, and I love that there was a unicorn.
Yeah. A very nasty unicorn.
Yeah. Didn't like people.
Not nice unicorn.
So, I think that they didn't attack each other because they were all literally mythical creatures, but like creatures that are created from the imagination, at least in my theory.
And maybe they were upset because they were captured.
Of course they were. Yeah. I would be upset.
Right.
They were meant to roam free.
And murder.
I wonder who captured them to begin with.
I would want to watch a movie.
I would want to watch a movie about that.
Of Mythical Creatures Investigation Squad, where they investigate and then they make a whole plan just to capture, and it's just the movie is just of them battling the creature, and in the end all of the team dies except that one guy that finally, or girl, or whatever, that finally catches the creature.
Yeah. That would be so cool.
They get a weekend off.
They get a weekend off.
Yeah, because they're not going to be paid overtime.
They finally capture the creature, and then they learn that they're capturing them for this ritual, and they're like, oh no, I want to be a hero. I don't like this.
Nah, that's not. No, because if they're catching them, they have to be company men.
But sometimes
or women.
The left hand doesn't know what the right hand is doing.
Yeah,
so maybe they just know. They think they're saving the world from these creatures. It wouldn't
be as fun. I think it would be better that all the team dies. The one who won, he lost an arm or a leg or something like that, and he's just given 2 days off.
And then another case.
Yeah, 2 days off, and get to step in. Here's your new case.
I like it.
Yeah.
So when Jules dies, I was pretty disappointed at that because I really like that character.
Which one's Jules?
Jules was the blonde lady. She was the first one to go.
Oh, yeah.
They made her really sexy, and I love their explanation for why boobies were in the movie.
Right. Oh, we need to see the boobies. If not, we can't kill her. I'm like,
right?
Okay, that makes no sense. But okay.
I mean, because she has to be the first one to die.
She
I guess
to be
it
the
was
whore.
Like part of the ritual.
Right.
That they're appeased. That these ancient creatures are appeased.
Yeah.
And how everybody died was great except for Holden.
Which one was Holden?
Holden was the smart kid who got the thing through his neck.
Yeah.
I thought that was stupid.
Well, I think they drove a long way. So how did the monster get in the van? Was he in the van? Why didn't he just kill them all?
Well, he could have just killed them, but I think he must have gotten in the van while they were parked when they were setting up the
Yeah, when Thor jumped the thing.
Thor was jumping across the ravine, and like that's when he got in the van. Instead of killing them all right then, though, which was a little odd, he could have just pushed them off a cliff right then.
Right. Yeah. Just push him off a cliff. Done. World
Yeah.
saved.
He wanted the dramatic effect.
Yeah. Well, I think the creatures, they don't want anything. I think the creatures they just want to kill. And then the puppet masters, they release the creatures in certain ways so they kill first whoever they want them to kill first.
Yes, that's probably true. And it's interesting how desperate they are. Like, when Donna is basically being murdered in the background and they're all celebrating because they think that they've completed the ritual.
Yeah. And then the other guy is
and then
still
Marty
alive.
just appears, hero out of nowhere.
Yeah.
Marty was amazing. I loved that character and that actor, Franz.
Yeah, it was a really, really good actor. I don't think I've seen him after that in a lot of things.
I saw him in it was called Much Ado About Nothing. It was also written. It was written by not written by. It was written by Shakespeare, but it was directed by the same guy who wrote this movie.
Huh.
Yeah.
There you go.
So this film, in terms of survival, I think that they did a lot of things right.
Right.
I think that they didn't get mad quickly enough. They're running and running and running the whole time. They're not trying to fight or kill these creatures or dismember them. They're not getting weapons and then keeping them. You know what I mean?
Well, they're not keeping them because the weapons were rigged, so it gives them like a little electric shock, and she dropped the knife when she was stabbing the undead.
Yeah. I loved that there was an explanation for all of that, because everything that we say is keep the knife, don't separate.
Yeah, keep on stabbing. She kept on stabbing.
Definitely don't go have sex in the woods. We would recommend that.
Yeah, don't do that. Don't be in the woods.
Yeah, don't be in the woods.
Right.
It's not safe.
You would be in the woods.
I would be in the woods.
Yes, you would be in the woods. You're just saying that.
But I do think that it's not safe.
Yeah. And in the end, just let the old gods rise. That's what I would do.
Yeah, I mean, if we get to a point where in order to survive, we have to kill each other in ritualistic fashion, maybe it is time for somebody else.
It's just for me to choose, like, okay, I either kill myself and I die, just me, or, you don't kill yourself and the whole world will die. I'd just say, fuck it, let's all die.
Yeah, I mean...
the whole world go down.
What was the thing you were saying the other day where... You were talking about ancient civilizations that must have risen and fallen across human history.
Yeah.
I mean, humans, like if history is this long, humans have taken up this much of it.
Yeah.
So there's no way that there weren't other civilizations that are just lost to time.
Lost to time, yeah. Maybe the Anunnaki, they took them.
Yeah, it could be. And if that's the case, then maybe... our society will be like that at some point.
Yeah. Who knows?
I don't know. So,
I think overall they did pretty good. They had the right ideas and escaping and doing, all this stuff, because the guy, they went, let's just leave. So they got in the van, they just went, but they had the contingency to blow the bridge. So it wasn't really in their hands to leave or not.
But interestingly enough, if they had stayed in the tunnel, I think that would have been a good option for survival. So you keep the van in the tunnel. It's already blown. Maybe you get it right outside the entrance if you, in case you're afraid it's going to blow up. And any creature that's going to come after you is going to have to be bottlenecked in that tunnel. I really love bottlenecking.
You can't kill the creatures.
They don't know that, though. I mean, so far they've taken down a couple of them. They've dismembered them,
They will still kill you.
How would they kill you if you dismember them?
I mean, the hand. Remember when he dismembered the hand? The hand was probably gonna kill
kill that guy.
You know?
Well, in the elevator, but yes. But
unless you take all the parts and just throwing down the ravine.
Yes, but I mean, you can do that one by one. Even I just think it's a good. That's a fortified location. That tunnel with the Winnebago, you've got some supplies. You've got a semi-safe space. You've got you've got three of you.
Up.
Yeah, but not enough. Like once the tunnel blew up, they had to back out of still a small crevice.
No, but when they were backing out, the tunnel was caving in.
Oh, was the entire
tunnel
tunnel
and when
done?
they're outside, you can see the whole blocked entrance because it caved in the whole way.
Okay, well, I still say that that's a good. So there's a cliff on one side, there's a slope on the other side. They're probably not going to come from up here. If they do, they're going to be down for a second. I just think that is a pretty safe location to mount a defense.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Could be.
And then you've also got the option of transportation with the motorcycle in case you do need to run away, or one of you.
Yeah.
So, I mean, but of course they did their best. They decided to go across the ravine.
What upsets me is that the lady actually thought about shooting the guy.
I know.
Yeah, I was like,
she thought about shooting Marty.
Yeah, I was like, what a bitch!
Jesus.
Why would I really That's all I have to say.
Well, don't worry, she dies in the end.
Right? Yeah, that she dies, but with Marty, I wish that werewolf would have just ripped her to shreds for just thinking about it.
Well, I don't know why she even considered it after everything that she'd been through.
Like, well, it's a humanity, it's the whole world. Fuck it. Maybe it's time for the old gods to rise up again.
Maybe. I mean, that's what they ultimately decided.
Yeah.
And she did apologize.
Yeah, after she's been munched, but because she thought about it. Okay, I kill this guy. How do we get out of here?
Yeah.
Because all the monsters are loose.
Yeah. It's not like you're really going to survive.
Yeah.
It's not like they're going to give you a job after this.
Right? They're not going to give you a job. Probably going to kill you.
Yeah.
Yeah. Don't do that.
So
are those your final tips for when you're in, against your will in a cabin in the woods?
Well, I have a tip actually for the puppeteers.
Okay.
Why do you even have that button?
Oh, the button to open all the doors?
That button that says purge all.
Maybe there was they saw a contingency, right? That you needed to purge everything and let everybody out in order to save the world, because they couldn't murder or kill the virgin and the jock and the whore.
I think it was very poor industrial planning to have a button that says purge all.
Listen, maybe these creatures have to go to the bathroom. So there is a cleaning crew. Did you see those cubicles? They were pristine. They were clean.
They were clean.
So somebody cleans them. So if somebody cleans them, that means that somebody has to wrangle these creatures out of the cubicle so that somebody else can go into the cubicles and clean them up.
That's something that I think the movie was sorely lacking, is creature management department.
Right.
Like when they press that first of all, no one was manning that station.
Right.
All right. Yes. So that guy should get fired.
Yeah, that guy probably had to poop.
Yeah. And then if somebody pressed purge all, why they didn't say, "Oh my God, you guys have to be in position right now. They're purging all." Like, you don't have a plan for that?
Yeah, I think they've done it for so many years that they were complacent as to nothing ever goes wrong.
Yeah. Yeah, they really were.
They weren't trained constantly. There wasn't any continuous training in this facility.
Yeah, which was really weird to me. Like, this is kind of stakes of the whole world.
Yeah. Yeah. It sounds like a corporation thing.
Yeah, it does.
That's what would happen.
Which is so funny.
If you give the task of saving the world to a corporation.
It's true.
That is exactly what would happen.
It's so funny that this, on the surface level, it's interesting. If you dive underneath, it's everything that Marty said in the beginning, right when he's in the Winnebago talking about maybe we should have a new society because everything is just basically corporatized and, artificial. Even their investment in the training of what this could mean was all artificial. Like the company and the puppeteers, they were invested, but it was like they were just coworkers. They weren't.
Yeah, they were betting.
Yeah, they weren't even devoted to it.
Talking about what they were going to do on the weekend.
Yeah. Yeah, so like it was interesting to me that it perfectly demonstrated why the world should end.
Corporations shouldn't, be entrusted with saving the world.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. So it was, I think it was a fitting end. But
yes.
I do have a final question for you. Do you think that this was Cosmic Car?
Ah, interesting. It didn't start out like Cosmic Car, but at the end, I mean, I think it could have been. You know, I did with
Yeah.
Elder Gods. Everybody dies in the end. The whole world is gonna have a horrible end.
Right?
So it probably is. What do you guys think? Do you think this was cosmic horror? I
Yeah.
don't know. Let us know. Write a comment down below.
Yes. Let us know what you thought of this movie. How did it change your perception of horror movies? And
Did you
how
survive?
did you survive?
Would you have survived?
Would you have survived?
Right? Yeah. Yeah.
Do you like camping?
Yeah, right? You don't like camping because you're not a loser.
Or do you like cabining?
That is camping with more steps. Just don't do it. Don't go camping. Don't go cabining.
I figured out how the merman would just kill people.
How?
He just stays in the lake and he waits until they all get in there.
Right, they would all get in there. Yeah.
Yeah.
One by one, it would just eat them.
You remember that horror movie called Lake Placid?
No.
That was about an alligator.
I remember Anaconda.
Anaconda, that was another one.
Yeah.
On the water.
Yeah, with Jennifer Lopez.
Jennifer Lopez.
Yeah. Anyway,
Anyway,
remember to like this video. Hit that little button. Hit the like. Let
Yes.
us know you enjoy it. If you're listening, thank you. I don't know what to do if they're listening, you know?
if you're listening and you want to leave us a comment, you can write us an email at outsmartingtheshadows@gmail.com.
Yes, that's where you go. That's where you
If
send
you're
your
watching us on YouTube, please remember to like this video. You can subscribe to us if you haven't already.
stuff. Right, right.
We love it if you subscribe.
Do it. We give you the tidbits to help you survive all these horrible situations.
Exactly.
Yes, and the most important one is don't go camping.
don't go cabining either.
Yeah, don't go cabining either.
We're
Yeah.
gonna do both of those.
No, we're not. It will be against. I will be against my better judgment, against my will.
Okay. Remember to be safe, be vigilant, and be the last one standing.
Always.